All right. Welcome back, hot dogs and donuts. It's your boy Spider Pig. Y'all already know it's Super Saturday, aka Super Piggy Bank Deposit Day, because you know how we do. Yeah, we gonna make sure we come get it in at some point in time on a Saturday. Might be Sunday wherever you are, but we still here, right? Now that I got that out of the way for whatever reason, let me double check my sound. Soundboard. Where'd you get this soundboard? Soundboard. Where'd you get this? Mm, Looks like it works. All right, now that I know that I'm locked in and rocking, we can go ahead and get the show popping. Yeah. I know y'all ready for this. We got some more videos to review, some entertaining stuff, a little bit of Dragon Ball to talk about. Because, I wanted to talk about why specifically I believe Kaba and Hit would be the two that are officially rewarded. Because Kefla and, Khalifa and Kale, ain't much that they need to do for them because they're fucking bandits. Hell, they get the saying praise of being two of the stronger people to fight, right? Right. They don't need no reward. Y'all are definitely banditos. But hell, let's get into it. We'll talk about Dragon Ball in a minute.
Man, I've never seen a fight like this.
Neither have I. Yes, this is most unusual indeed.
Mass, take a look. Isn't that the same guy who fell off Snake Way and beat you in a foot race?
Hey, you're right, Cause. Well, no wonder he was able to beat me. What a guy. He's not that great. I know I could have beat him if I didn't lose both of my legs. Lousy, no good saying, monkey.
Who's Goku fighting with? That imp's giving him a tough than I did, and he quit against me.
I don't know, but I do like that paint.
He sure packs a wallop. That's my boy. I'm responsible for that demon of disaster.
What up?
That's right. I'm the great wizard Bobbity, Majin Buu's mentor. Oh, yes. I taught him everything that he knows about fighting. He's not much on brains, though.
Amazing. You must be the greatest fight trainer there is.
Yes, so true. You're real smart for an ogre. Come by for a lesson sometime, why don't you?
I will, sir. I will.
Destroy that squirrely monkey! You disobedient, disrespectful
Sports would be the
creature.
one entertaining thing that I
You
don't
get thrown
know
to
anything
smithereens.
about.
How dare
Who do
you
I
make
think
a
will win
mockery
between
out of me?
England and Norway?
Do it!
Well, if it was actually a fight, I'd say England. Since it's something sports related, probably Norway.
Man, that's another big ass power level. Why don't I? He's about to die. Instead of him just flying regularly, he did KO Ken to get there.
When Raccoon looks off to the side and is like, what the fuck is that? You see a red dot, and in a second,
He's here.
he's here. Landing on the ground like, God damn, he moved.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, you're dealing with somebody with a broken neck. Do not do that shit like how Goku did.
You just toss his head to the side.
He said, go hard. Look at
daddy's here. Like, it was like, what the fuck did he just do? Raccoon, you killed him, right? I felt his neck crunch on my toes. Yes.
He was like, bro, he just touched him and he had power. What the fuck is going on? We fighting Jesus? And he just walks casually over to Krillin. And he was like, he did that shit again. He just touched him and he's like, up. Krillin trying to tell him all. He was like, yeah, we had to fight. We seen villages of dead Namex. Goku just looking at him. I really want to touch his head. He said, Goku, let me see. Shh. Goku, this is weird. He said, what are you doing? Who's I just read my mind. Don't do that dumbass shit no more. Get your hand off my shit. He was like, all right. I know what's going on. We good. Vegeta, catch. It was like, you giving him a sensu bean, bruh. Raccoon was smart. He was like, shit, I was trying to get that bitch.
That shit went through the whole of his teeth.
He was like, what the fuck? He said, eat it. He was like, I usually take candy from strangers.
Even Gohan was like, yo, Pops.
How the voice actor did it? He said, Dad, what you do that? I cried on that part. He said, look at Vegeta.
English, mother. Nope. Do you speak it?
Vegeta took that shit and had a mean Zenkai boost.
Bro, that's so sweet.
Man.
He lost his neck.
He said he lost his neck.
What did you give me, Kakarot? The games.
All right, y'all. So, I'm gonna go handle business now. Are you sure? There are 3 of them. Nah, I got it. Before he touched Raccoon, he said, this your one chance to take this opportunity, run with it. You have your ass out. You're not winning this fight.
He said, yeah. I was like, bro,
Then teleported past him and went to Berter and Jason. Was like, I'm giving y'all the opportunity as well.
He come from.
They swung at him. He stepped past them and went back to Raccoon and was like, last chance.
Last chance for what? Me to do my most strongest attack. I was like, bro, your strongest attack was you getting hit. That's crazy work.
Vegeta was like, bro, what the
Nope.
is he?
Made him swallow that bean. It had key indigestion. Then this Jason Berter was just like, let's stun on this.
They started playing Ring Around the Rosie around that.
Like they was just like universally bucking at that. Real shit. It was flying up. Oh shit, he ain't moving. Jace had the nuts to fly in front of Goku, and he was just like, you think you're tough? We're the kid you fuck. Why the f you gonna go straight into his face, hands down, and just be like, this is set out rep. Goku finally just was like, all right, I'm gonna let these get close.
This blocked their attacks and then just flex and flex them away. A flex in the gust from his flex creates a tornado.
And Berter ain't shit. He was like, hey, let's pack this up, Jace. He was like, hell yeah.
You go first.
You go first. Hey, shoot your volleyball attack. And then when he moves, I'm gonna fight him. He was like, okay.
Alright.
And he smacked that bitch to Berter. Went to go to attack Goku. And he hit him so hard, it kicked him in his back, then elbowed him down. This flying way too fast to the earth. He was gonna die. And then Goku aggressively caught him. Think about the whiplash he felt. And Jace was just like, oh, you think you tough, huh? I'm calling my daddy. Goku was like, that's terrible friend. He was like, bro, they still alive.
They're gonna walk from there for a while, but they'll be
No, Vegeta just leg dropped this Berter on the throat. He was like, Vegeta, what are you doing?
Yeah, that was...
Big Bang attack killed Raccoon. He said, he don't know how to be merciful. That's it. You.
A few minutes later.
I ain't gotta be
just
nice.
talking shit, and you and Jace pull back up. It's like, I bought my daddy.
So good to see you. Thanks for coming by, saying
Why does he
hi.
have sayings in his head? He must have a lot
Appreciate
of
that.
time.
You know, we're doing our entertainment thing
Go
today.
get the balls.
What do you mean by that?
Dragon Balls, okay. Dragon Balls, alright.
Goku, please clarify for next time.
Me and Vegeta? She was about to duff these off right now. Ain't that right, Vegeta? Vegeta?
This mother.
Nope. I was like, Vegeta, we trusted you. We gave you a sensu. You a Z fighter now. We don't ever get like fighting scenes like that no more. Like back and forths.
Not at all. It's either completely one-sided or completely one-sided.
Like that was just a beautiful back and forth because I'm going. And then it's so funny because you kind of got the misconception that, you know, because it was at one point when he was fighting with Ginyu and then Jace shot a beam at him. Goku dodged that shit and this put Goku, Captain Ginyu put Goku in a full Nelson. He said, this strong, but let me go. And you just looking, not saying anything. And so you kind of get the misconception that Captain Ginyu was an honorable warrior because he just let him go. Nah, I just like beating on weak. So I was like, bro, that's crazy.
He shot a beam at Jace. Said, you ever do that shit again?
It's only one way for you to get back in my good graces. Pose. Alright, we kind of dragging this little fight off a little bit. I know you hold your power back. Get to your fucking maximum and then see what we can do. He started charging up and planets lit up.
Space is an empty void and he shook it.
That's terrifying.
That's absolutely crazy.
I'm 125,000 power level. We good. 60 ain't climbing. He said, well, I kind of guessed it. 125,000. 80 ain't climbing. Oh,
It still ain't up there with me though.
100,000. Okay. Ooh, that's close. 125,000, Captain. Fuck! Flew to the water. I was like, Goku's like, what's wrong with him? I don't know. Ah! Captain Ginyu flew in water, came out of hard rock. He's like, what the fuck is this doing? Chase move! Rock smash! He said, Chase, did it kill him? No, it didn't even pass his aura. He said, who is this guy? Isn't he saying, what is your name? He said, I am Phoenix. I was like, oh. No wonder he knows telekinesis.
He said, I am
sitting here, like, going a little crazy. Jake's like, what the fuck?
Goku got it down with the cosmic power of Phoenix.
I'm gonna need it in a minute. He was like, you gonna, I know what you're doing. Charged up his fist for an episode and a half. Punches himself in the chest. He said, what the fuck is wrong with this?
And then he stood there and watched him shoot a beam out his mouth into his mouth.
What is he doing?
I'm like, bro, you have dodged and evaded everything up until this point, and you let him shoot a beam in your mouth.
Goku's an eater.
Then Goku's like, why do I feel a pain in my
He
chest?
said
Look down, I was
Goku's
like,
an eater.
Why is it me over there, not me? Then this just dropped out the sky. It died on him.
I was like, Ginyu, how hard did you hit yourself? Meanwhile, from the time he got to Frieza's ship, killed all the henchmen there, took a shower, dried his clothes, blow dried his hair, brushed his teeth, clipped his toenails before Gohan and Krillin made it back there.
And he was up in the bathroom. Put the pounds in the trash can for you to do the dishes.
Who's that approaching?
Then he seen it was Krillin and Gohan. He was just like, I'm gonna let them summon the dragon and just take the wish.
And then slowly realized that these are idiots and forgot that Goku literally told them you had to have a password. They was like, arise, Shunron!
Gohan like, yeah.
Why ain't nothing happening?
Yeah, the sky didn't change. In the midst of them doing this dumb shit, Goku Ginyu pulled up with Jace.
Krillin was like, oh shit, it's Goku. Didn't pay attention to the fact that one, he has a scouter on. Two, he's with Jace.
He's a Goku, you and reforming bad guys, man. Look at you. So he a Z-Warrior now, right? Am I gonna have to pose? No, you ain't got to. What the fuck is wrong with your voice, man? Gohan said, that's not my daddy. You know, he's right here. He got slapped up hard. He was just like, y'all think y'all strong? Watch this. Ah! Everybody's like, oh, well, he said, check out the scouter, Chase. How strong am I? He was like, 23,000. Now y'all scared. 23,000 is 23,000.
Are you sure? He's like, yeah, and declining rapidly. But new body, new me.
Soon as Krillin realized that his
me.
power level was 23,000, he started stunting on him.
I've been waiting for this chance. I ain't been a one-on-one with Goku since childhood.
Just flew at him and teleported away. And then he kicked and missed. Smacked it. Wow! Go on, get him! He was like, Daddy!
Which, like, you learned nothing from Nappa, huh?
And they were just like, oh, a new power level. 6 o'clock. Goku just struggling. He's like, Gohan, Krillin, that's not me. We are aware. And then Gohan was just like,
Hey, good to see you. Thanks for coming by and saying hi.
Imagination of his dad.
Appreciate you.
Nimbus is him as Ginyu. Hey, Gohan, slap your damn daddy. Slap your damn daddy right now. Ginyu was like, why the fuck can I fight too hard? What's going on? Goku can't print the fuck can beat him. He said, you gotta connect your mind and your soul. Calm down, concentrate. Try to connect your mind. Dad, what the fuck is wrong with you? Giving him, your brain getting better.
He out there giving him
Hey,
tips.
Chase, help me, nigga. Help me. Nigga just Chase like, oh shit, my bad.
Oh man.
Vegeta came and started slapping his shit up.
He said, you think you can do something with me?
Goku versus the Ginyu Force, man.
What you gonna do? He was like, before you think that you hard, press that scouter. He said, what's pressing the scouter gonna do? You could, oh. No. He said, yes. Started whooping his ass. I don't even know how to Vegeta and Jace got into the ship, and then Vegeta just running, and this just Jace just busts out the fucking jump, pinned this to the wall, tried to punch, Vegeta moved, pulled that shit out, it was nothing but steam. And Vegeta was like, ooh, it's terrifying when you don't know where I'm at. This Jace flew straight out the ship. Vegeta followed followed him, kicks him in the face, like makes him go like halfway upside down, karate chops hard into his side. This turned around, Vegeta got 5 fingers saying to the face right there. This was begging for his life. He said, no, Vegeta, no. Vegeta, do you always gotta do this?
There is no mercy in this dojo, Goku.
Ginyu was just like, oh, we ain't worried about your ass. If you came over here, I'd duff your ass off.
He started beatboxing. Go use shit up.
So bruh, he double axe handles him down. This Vegeta said, the winner! Like, bruh, he was ready to kill Goku body, dog. He was.
He was like, this is gonna be my one chance to actually kill Kakarot. I gotta do it. Ginyu was like, body change. I'm sure I can connect with that body just fine.
Goku got in that way that shit changed. He like, thank God. Now back at my body, I'm a real I missed.
That shit flew at Bulma.
Bro,
That shit flew at Bulma. That is hilarious, though. I love how they pointed that out. He said, nah, the shit flew at
He let
Bulma.
you win on purpose. Vegeta did not give a nope. This is one of my favorite pastimes, to beat up on weaker than me. This to bet that body change. Goku threw a knuckleball. Learning from Yamcha. I felt sorry for that frog. That's horrifying.
Them G-forces that frog got.
You know what's so funny? When Goku first got switched into Ginyu's body, the foreshadow was crazy. Because as soon as he hit the ground, you see a yellow toad pop in front.
I didn't even pay attention to
Now,
that.
the foreshadowing was crazy. I was just like, wow.
Man, Lord knows there was enough shit going against the Ginyu Force.
Up my ass, gun.
Oh, Lord.
You're about to
Forgot we finna talk about Kennard today. Shouts out to Kennard, man. Now, forewarning for y'all that don't like to see kids getting beat up, Kennard is one of these kids that needs his ass whooped. So that's why they gonna start off with this clip of him getting his ass whooped. I appreciate that. Scully, man, I see you laughing. I appreciate you. Hey, don't hurt your side fucking with me today, because you know how I be. I got some shit that I'm be on today that might be at a whole nother level. Anyway, shouts out to our piggy bank deposit. It's Super Saturdays. For those who don't know, we do entertaining reviews around here. If you got something you want to watch besides Scully, because you know he'll read the story to you, we appreciate that part of the game. If you got something you want to watch besides Scully, let me know, because you know we'll be over at Scully's on the regular anyway, so you ain't got to let me know you want to watch Scully with me. Well, let's review Scully one day, Popcorn. You know damn well we will. Hell, he's on our to-do list. No Diddy, or Diddy, however you want to imply it, because we'll get the work put in. Anyways, y'all know I ain't one of them suspects, so if you think like that, hey, keep thinking like that. It's just buy me a coffee in the meantime. Yeah, Kennard got beat the fuck up.
You ever notice that in The Wire, legends don't die in glory? They die in silence. No last stand, no fireworks, just a whisper that fades before it's even heard.
Let me get one of them too.
That's what makes Omar Little's death so perfect and so cruel. Not because he went down in a blaze of gunfire, not because he got outsmarted by the system, but because of who pulled the trigger. A kid too young to understand what he was destroying.
The boy who once pretended to be Omar ends up killing him. The imitation becomes execution. It's almost biblical in irony. The child of the street slaying his own myth. The boy who mimicked the legend becomes the one who embraces it.
That's not just fate, it's prophecy. But here's the thing. Kennard didn't just kill Omar for fun. There's a reason buried deep beneath the silence, the fear, and the imitation.
Bitch, get the fuck across the street and plant your ass on a stoop.
Stay to the end, because the real reason he did it says more about us and what happens when legends outlive their purpose than it does about him. Because The Wire
Kennard
was
was
always
definitely
about
on his
cycles.
kick.
Cycles of violence, poverty, institutions that eat people alive.
Shouts out to
Omar's
Lee over
story
at
isn't
First
just
Floor
about morality
Audio.
and the drug game.
Y'all know to go check him out. He got a live going at the moment, and I will be over there if
It's
I
about
make it
how even
before I'm
morality can
done.
rot when it's passed through too many hands. See, Omar Little wasn't a villain. He was a gunslinger, Baltimore's own outlaw saint.
I see you favor a 45.
Tonight I do.
He said tonight.
I keep one in the chamber in case you ponder it.
The show turned him into its own version of a Wild West legend.
You
Even if I miss, I can't miss.
I admire a man with confidence.
I don't see no sweat in your brow neither, bro.
The trench coat was his duster, the shotgun, his six-shooter, and his code.
All in the game, baby.
Game, yo.
No civilians, no kids, was his badge. He walked through the city like a ghost of justice. When you heard Omar coming, you didn't stand your ground, you ran.
Ew!
Corners emptied like ghosts fleeing daylight. But just like Jesse James, shot in the back by Robert Ford, the boy who once idolized him, Omar's death feels less like justice and more like replacement.
Well, damn.
Ford didn't kill James out of courage. He did it because he wanted to be him, to steal the myth without the burden.
Kennard does the same. Too young to grasp the weight of violence, yet desperate to prove he matters in a world that's forgotten him. But the true survivors of The Wire aren't the ones who pull the trigger. They're the ones who endure.
Slim Charles adapts, Avon lives to reflect, and even Poot steps out of the game entirely. Meanwhile, Stringer Bell's ambition kills him.
Well, get on with it, motherfucker.
Wallace's innocence dooms him, D'Angelo's conscience breaks him, and Bodhi's loyalty buries him. Survival isn't about strength, it's about restraint. And then there's Kennard, small, sharp-eyed, fearless, a kid who doesn't flinch. The kind of kid that shouldn't even know what murder looks like, but does. He's in an alley one afternoon holding a cat, trying to set it on fire. Not because he's angry, not because he's hungry, because he's curious. He's experimenting with cruelty the way a scientist might test gravity. That's when he hears it. The drag of Omar's limp echoing down the street. The same whistle that used to make grown men scatter. And the irony, it doesn't even make Kennard blink. The other kids bolt the second they see Omar, like pigeons fleeing thunder. But Kennard stays, still crouched, still holding that cat, eyes locked on this broken man limping down the block. He studies the way Omar moves, the way he drags his leg. He sees not a myth, but a wound, and you can almost feel that earlier thought flicker back through his mind. That line he'd said.
Oh, by the way, y'all know last week's video was so good, it's still currently banned. So y'all know if y'all want the replay or the link for it, you got to hit up the Buy Me a Coffee, because it'll send you straight to the private video that's still privately available. So you have to have the link to see the video in case y'all missed last week's video. But it's so good it was banned. Y'all saw the shorts. The shorts was super dope, but the video itself is banned. If you want to see it, you got to hit up the Buy Me a Coffee. The link's over there, and it'll send you right back to YouTube, but it's still up there for free. Shouts out to the freebies, because that's why we do it that way. You know, if the video got blocked and banned, hell, I ain't gonna tell you what happened to it. Y'all seen the shorts. Y'all know that there's a live for it somewhere. It might be one short that you see that you wanted to see the rest of. But guess what? Don't get that Omar treatment from Kennard, okay?
Joking before, but meant every word of
Gimpy as a motherfucker.
Only now it's not a joke, it's confirmation. The legend isn't bulletproof, he's human, weak. And something in Kennard's eyes shifts, like he's staring at a dying god and realizing the world doesn't need miracles anymore, just boys cruel enough to end them. That's the moment the myth dies, not the gunshot, that line. That's the sound of a child realizing his hero bleeds.
You are so disappointing on so many levels.
That conversation between Omar and Bunk cuts deeper than most realize. It isn't just two men from opposite sides talking, it's a reckoning. Bunk looks at Omar not as a cop, but as someone grieving the city's soul.
And now all we got is bodies and predatory motherfuckers like you. Now where that girl fell, I saw kids acting like Omar, calling you by name, glorifying your ass.
Omar.
Makes me sick, motherfucker, how far we done fell.
For once, Omar doesn't argue. He can't. That line about the kids pretending to be him, it lands like a confession.
No, I'm trying to be Omar. No, give me a
Because Omar's game, the thing he used to justify the blood and chaos, had spilled out into the streets and warped everything it touched. His code, no civilians, no innocents, didn't mean much anymore when those same kids he inspired were out killing people who had nothing to do with the game.
You gotta get rid.
Okay, quick note. Hold on to that
that
scene of the
Randy
mother
playing that
screaming
kid?
off camera. Now think about the hospital scene with Jason and Omar. Did you notice the similarities? That parallel is not an accident. Drop your thoughts in the comments and tell me what you think it means. Alright, now back to the main topic.
Feel that guilt haunting him after. Twice he looks at Kennard, once when the boy's holding that cat, again in the store, and both times he hesitates. He sees what he created. A child who learned all the wrong lessons. That talk with Bunk broke something in him.
Omar couldn't excuse the game anymore, and the moment he lost belief in his own code, he was already gone. The boy who once said,
Yo, my turn to be Omar!
finally got his turn. He just played it differently. Omar's rules turned into Kennard's reflexes. Omar stole from the powerful to humble them. Kennard kills the powerless to prove he exists. Omar lived by a code. Kennard lives by a void. Omar robbed for justice. Kennard murders out of curiosity.
He's not a monster by birth, he's a byproduct, a symptom, a reflection stripped of meaning. Kennard is the echo of a story told too many times without its moral intact. That's what The Wire was trying to say.
Monsters aren't born, they're manufactured by neglect. Omar thought he was setting an example of principle, but what the kids saw was power. They didn't hear his sermons, they heard his shotgun. It's that indifference, that detachment, that makes Kennard so terrifying, because it isn't personal. He's not avenging anyone. He's not trying to prove he's brave, he's curious. He's a child raised in an environment that teaches curiosity through cruelty. That's how The Wire teaches tragedy through escalation. Cruelty becomes a ladder. Kennard didn't climb out of hate, he climbed because that's all he's ever been shown. When Omar walks into that convenience store, there's a strange stillness. That silence right before a storm. He's limping, older, weaker. He buys cigarettes. The clerk looks at him, half nervous, half awed. And then the door chimes again. Kennard walks in. He sees the limp. He sees the opening. He sees a dying legend who still doesn't realize he's already a ghost. And just like Jesse James never saw Robert Ford's gun, Omar never sees it coming. There's no standoff, no showdown. Just one moment of life, and then a single gunshot. The clerk screams, loud and panicked, but the world doesn't echo it. The city keeps moving. The milk still spills. The lights still buzz. The legend is dead. And then, the ultimate insult. When the detectives arrive, they tag the wrong name on his body. The system that could never catch Omar doesn't even bother to remember him right. It's the most haunting moment in the series. That tag isn't a mistake. It's David Simon's final message. The game doesn't remember you. It replaces you. Because that's the true death of Omar. Not the bullet, but the indifference that followed it. Avon Barksdale's old line applies here.
Can't never be slow.
The thing is,
Can't
you
never
only
be
have to
late.
fuck up once. Be a little slow, be a little late, just once. And how you ain't gonna never be slow, never be late? You can't plan for no shit like this, man. It's life.
Omar's mistake wasn't getting old. It was thinking his myth still mattered. He thought his limp wouldn't matter, that the streets still respected the code. But he was slow. And that was enough. It's the same irony the Coen brothers explored in The Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
The gunfighter who sings, who believes himself untouchable, until a stranger walks up faster on the draw. When asked if he wants a count, he says no.
You need a count? No, sir.
And before he can breathe again, he's dead.
Said that boy.
Omar's death feels exactly
That
like
boy,
that.
boy,
Too
that
confident to
movie
believe he
right
could
there
die
is
by
just
something so
whew.
small. The irony is thick enough to choke on. He didn't turn around and blow Kennard away like a Western hero.
He didn't even draw. Because he never thought a kid could be the end of it. That's the cruel joke. The man who robbed drug lords dies because he underestimated a boy. A boy he unintentionally helped create.
Kennard, like every kid on those corners, is only mimicking what he's seen. The guns, the swagger, the cold smirk, it's all theater. But imitation without comprehension is the most dangerous kind. He's light years away from understanding the weight of what he copies, the fear, the code, the cost. When Michael beats Kennard bloody earlier in the series, it feels like a warning, maybe even a chance for redemption. But Kennard doesn't learn fear, he learns patience. He learns how to bide his time. That's the kind of quiet danger only the streets could teach a child. And that's where the tragedy splits. Michael understood Kennard in a way Eamon didn't, in a way even Omar didn't. He knew how rot starts young, how boys imitate monsters long before they know what monsters really are.
Because he ain't coming back.
They're just gonna keep
Michael
swapping.
becomes the new Omar with a shotgun with purpose. But
Oh
also,
man,
as
they just gonna go
Charles
back and
says,
forth
the
for
more
Chris
fierce
and fucking
replacement.
Michael. That's hilarious.
Just a boy.
Ah, shit. That's just a need.
That's just a need.
Because he carries the weight Omar once did, but with none of the myth left to protect him.
He's just a kid.
Kennard never understood Omar's code. He only saw what Omar inspired and mistook that for power.
When I think about it, what's most haunting about Kennard isn't that he's evil. It's that he's inevitable. He's the logical conclusion of the world Omar left behind. A world that teaches children the language of violence before they ever learn to spell their names.
He's the echo of a generation watching chaos on repeat until it becomes a lullaby. Because in a way, Omar built him. Every stick-up, every story, every whispered Omar coming that made grown men scatter left an impression on kids who were too young to understand the difference between fear and respect. They didn't see the code, they saw the control. They didn't hear his moral debates about what's right or wrong, they heard the shotgun go off. To them, Omar wasn't a complicated man trying to live by his own set of rules. He was proof that if you scare people enough, you exist. It's almost poetic that when Kennard pulls that trigger, he's not even angry. He's calm, detached. It's like watching a child perform an experiment. Because he is. He's testing the final lesson the streets taught him. That power only means something when someone else is on the ground. And that's the prophecy Bunk warned Omar about years earlier.
Bullshit, boy. No victim. I just came from Tasha's people, remember? All this death, you don't think that ripples out?
Omar didn't listen, but the ripples kept moving. They reached a boy standing over a cat with a lighter and kept moving until they reached that store counter. What Bunk meant was that violence is inheritance. Once it's born, it doesn't die, it adapts. It moves from man to myth, from myth to memory, from memory to a kid like Kennard who doesn't even know where it started. And by the time it gets there, it's lost its shape entirely. It doesn't even pretend to have purpose. That's why Kennard isn't the villain of The Wire. He's the consequence. He's what's left after every principle gets stripped away. If Omar is the last outlaw who still believes in morality, Kennard is the first generation raised without any reference point for it. He's the child of erosion. The streets didn't corrupt him.
Child of
They raised
erosion.
him exactly as they were designed to.
Look here. Birthday of school coming up, right?
Yeah, next week.
So y'all need like school clothes and shit? Yeah.
Oh, shit. Yo, what's this for?
You ain't hear me? For new clothes. Whatever else you need to get.
Yeah, 200? Yo, thanks, man.
So you need to thank my man Marlo. He ain't want to see you little motherfuckers going ragged.
Omar believed that by living by his code, he could stand apart from the drug trade.
So you know, what happened to your boy, it's not my style.
Yeah, he know that was
When you
Bird.
bleeding out your back, look like that bullet ball came through.
That's exactly why you made sure Bird ass went to jail.
9 at close range will do that.
Omar secretly had already beat the Barksdales.
Yeah, I want to report a shooting over here at the new motel on North Avenue.
He says, shit, I put the number 2.
But Kennard is the proof that he
in
never
jail
stayed apart
after
at
shooting
all.
your number
He was
one.
just another part of the ecosystem.
Yeah, didn't kill
The
him,
only
hell.
difference was that his
Message was
mutation
sent.
came earlier. The cruelest part is that Kennard isn't even proud. When we see him later being dragged off by police, his face is blank. No grin, no guilt, no fear, just emptiness. That's
Y'all
not
definitely know to go
satisfaction.
check out that
That's
Homeboy
vacancy.
Scully's
He's
new
not a villain
project, We
taking
Make
victory.
It Pop.
He's a child already used up.
Yeah.
The system doesn't even need to punish him.
Get
It
you
already
some
has.
work
What's strange
in.
about
Keep telling
Kennard
y'all.
is that you never see him in school. Not once. It's like education never existed in his orbit. He's a kid without structure, without anyone telling him no long enough for the word to mean something. And maybe that's why he acts older than he is, because the streets became his teacher. His textbooks were corners and corpses. His report cards were bodies on the pavement. I don't know what that means exactly, but there must be something. The absence of discipline doesn't make you wild, it makes you numb. It breeds kids who laugh at death because no one ever showed them another way to live. And if you think about it, even the kids who do go to school in The Wire still experience violence there.
Go ahead.
I saw all that blood. Said, wait a minute.
Humiliation, metal detectors at the door. It's just a different classroom with the
He
same
trying to get
lesson.
my video
Survival.
copyrighted and age
And if you
restricted.
think about
Hell.
it, Kennard's future is already written. He'll get out of juvenile detention early because that's how the system works. He'll come back to the streets, angrier, dumber, convinced he's invincible because he once killed someone nobody else dared to touch. And like Bird, the loud, reckless enforcer Omar once testified against, he'll get himself killed over something stupid. A disrespect, a debt, a word said too loud. Bird went to prison, beaten and forgotten. Kennard will die faster, cheaper. The reincarnation of violence always burns out quicker than the original, because legends like Omar at least had a code. Kennard never even had a class. And maybe that's the last cruel joke the show leaves us with, that Omar didn't die by chance. He was taken out by the exact kind of man his actions were destined to produce. The system he tried to outwit didn't catch up to him with badges and warrants. It caught up through a child mimicking what he saw. The ripple Bunk warned about came full circle.
38 don't jam.
Don't hold 15 neither.
Game done changed.
The game the same. Just got more fierce.
Bird and Kennard are
Don't
cut
hold
from the
15
same rotted
either.
cloth, just
Hey,
born in
shouts out
different
to
eras
Slim.
of the same disease.
Yeah,
Bird
dog. You
tortured
caught up on that old
Omar's
shit.
boyfriend, leaving him broken in the street as a warning. Years later, Kennard tortures cats and birds for fun, laughing at pain he doesn't yet understand. It's the same seed, control through cruelty. And if history tells us anything, that seed grows into monsters. Many serial killers started the same way. Jeffrey Dahmer dissecting roadkill, Ted Bundy beating animals, Albert DeSalvo, the Boston Strangler, shooting arrows at stray cats. It's the early rehearsal for dominance, the testing ground for apathy.
Bird just grew into what Kennard was already becoming. Numb, detached, addicted to power. The only difference is age. The cruelty didn't evolve, it accelerated. Bird tortured Brandon. Kennard tortures the helpless. Same sickness, smaller hands.
And in Baltimore, that cycle doesn't break, it graduates. If Omar had understood that, maybe he would have seen Kennard for what he was, the final product of his own legend, the child version of himself, stripped of conscience, the boy who played Omar in the alley, now finishing the story for real. It's not even irony anymore, it's fate disguised as coincidence. The same actor who once pretended to be Omar comes back to kill him. That's not casting, it's a thesis statement, because Kennard isn't replacing Omar's legend, he's ending the idea that legends exist. He's what happens when morality turns into myth, and myth turns into entertainment. The kids didn't grow up wanting to be like Omar because he had a code. They wanted to be him because people ran from him. The lesson got lost in translation. So when that bullet lands, it doesn't just kill a man, it kills the illusion that integrity could ever survive in a place built to punish it. Omar believed the game could be played with rules. Kennard shows that the game plays you until you forget what rules even were. That's what makes The Wire prophetic. It doesn't end with hope, it ends with recognition. It looks straight at us and says, this is what happens when stories outlast their meaning. Omar's ghost doesn't haunt the city because of who he was. It haunts because of who he left behind. Kids who saw his legend and thought the gun was the message. And somewhere in that echo, maybe there's still a lesson left. Maybe the tragedy of Omar Little isn't that he died. It's that his story kept going without him, that a boy who should have been in school was instead practicing how to be feared. That's what The Wire leaves us with. Not closure, not catharsis, just a question hanging in the silence after the gunshot. What happens when the code dies but the violence lives on? Because the streets don't raise heroes, they just recycle ghosts.
Used to be couldn't no one sneak up on Jesse James. Now you think otherwise. I ain't never seen you out your guns neither. Can't figure it out. You won't be like me, or you won't be me.
And the cruel punchline? Even the streets couldn't believe it.
Omar be dead, I'm telling you. Heard that before. For real. You see? Seen this dead ass laying right up in there. Boy over in the corner say he tried to rob them parades and got killed.
Word spread and the corners argued like it was folklore.
That's no job here.
Some swore it was the store owner. Others claimed Omar slipped. Even the cops didn't say a kid. They said a
short little fella with a big gun.
Like they couldn't bring themselves to speak the truth.
Shit walked in and lit his ass up.
How short?
Because how do you process a legend dying not at the hands of a rival, but a child who didn't even blink?
Way short, Bunk.
Omar once promised Bunk there would be no more bodies.
Because you won't be, motherfucker.
I'm saying I know I do, man.
If you want to pay down any part of this debt, you know what you got to do for me? No more bodies.
Hey, man. Nobody's on me.
Told him he'd chill, but when they searched his pockets, there it was, a hit list. His gospel had curdled into vengeance.
Back on the hunt, were you?
He couldn't stop the game, so the game stopped him. And only one man in Baltimore could truly name it, Marlowe. Cold eyes, no emotion, just recognition.
Omar bagged up. Shit, I thought y'all was gonna tell me. I just got the word myself from a month.
Who got him?
Some young boy.
Who?
Ain't heard the name, don't even know if there was a why. Hop on the hip hop, see the damage, you know?
Because Marlowe understood, real violence doesn't always need a reason. Sometimes the only motive is to see the pop and the damage. Omar died thinking the game had rules. Kennard killed him to prove it didn't.
Thank you for watching to the end. If you enjoyed what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. I might do a bunch of Wire videos based on how this goes. Any feedback would be great. See you in the next video.
Yeah, man, the pit used to be the place too, boy.
What if you woke up in Springfield tomorrow? Maybe you'll go and grab a squishy from the Quickie Mart, or catch the latest McBain flick at the Googleplex Theatre, play games at the Noiseland Arcade, or pick up the latest issue of Radioactive Man at the Android's Dungeon, and then read it in the town square. And that would all sound great, right? I mean, exploring this fictional town that you grew up watching would be a dream come true. But once the novelty wears off, you'll start noticing a foul odour in the air before hearing the faint alarm of an impending nuclear meltdown. And you'd better duck for cover because that acid rain is rolling in.
It burns like a Glasgow bikini wax!
And when it looks safe to step outside, you'll see an angry mob marching the streets, and your only hope is that their outrage isn't directed at you.
Who is it? It's an angry mob, ma'am. Could you step outside for a twinkle while we knock down your house?
Springfield isn't called America's meanest city for nothing, and you're now stuck in the armpit of
Hey, they got
America's
Flanders
bomb
just
crack.
asking nicely.
In this video, I'll be
Can you
going
just come
into all the
outside so
many
we can
ways
burn
that
your house
Springfield is an
down?
absolutely
That way we
terrible
ain't
place
kill
to live
you
in,
while we
and the
did
likelihood
that,
of
but
you
you know.
actually getting out alive. So, first let's talk about the constant threat of nuclear disaster.
These unfortunate people here will be instantly killed. This circle, which I am sad to say we are in, will experience a slower, considerably more painful death.
Good Lord!
The Springfield nuclear power plant has suffered so many near meltdowns that it's honestly impossible to keep count. And with Homer Simpson acting as both the first and last line of defense, your chances of avoiding a radioactive apocalypse is pretty slim. Well, I I say Homer is the last line of defense, but occasionally he'll have a brick cover for him, as well as a chicken, a novelty drinking bird, a bucket decoy, a manatee, and a dog. But you know what? I'd personally feel safer with the dog on controls.
Meltdown averted. Good boy.
And sure, you could buy a nuclear bunker to protect you, but your Springfieldian neighbours will soon come a-knocking and throw you out of it. And speaking of the power plant, where do you think all those barrels of toxic waste end up? Well, when they're not being forcibly eaten by the employees, they're usually dumped in the local parks and playgrounds. Otherwise, the waste literally gets pulled straight into the lakes, where they then mutate the local wildlife. It's not uncommon to find fish with 3, 4, or even 6 eyes, as well as squirrels with maybe 20 eyes. And even the normal ones can shoot laser beams out of their eyes. The pollution once got so bad that the government literally sealed Springfield into a giant glass dome. And the town only narrowly avoided being blown up into a crater. And it's not just the power plant that destroys water supply and wildlife. Even the daycare centre spew toxic smoke into the air. Not to mention the perpetually burning tyre yard, which spreads toxic fumes for miles around. So your chances of developing lung cancer and other major health issues is insanely high. But on the plus side, if you get sick, I do hear that Dr. Nick is very affordable.
You tried the best, now try the rest. Call 1-600-DOCTORB. The B is for bargain.
Springfield is so used to environmental disasters that they literally have an all-purpose contingency called Plan B. This involves them picking up the entire town and moving it 5 miles down the road. And they resorted to this after the town became overwhelmed with underground garbage. And you just know this wasn't the only time they did this, because it was all far too efficient. So when Springfield does relocate, its citizens somehow just destroy the town all over again, like the time Homer accidentally blew up the entire fast food district.
And put these beloved mascots out on the street. I told myself I'd stay strong.
Or when a new chrome statue started reflecting sun rays, setting the whole town ablaze and reducing it to mere ashes. And when the town is destroyed, the corrupt local government refuses to rebuild. And that's probably because the yearly budget is blown on extravagant follies, like popsicle stick skyscrapers, a 50-foot magnifying glass, an elevator to nowhere, and a monorail. A monorail that was so poorly built that on its maiden voyage it almost killed a bunch of passengers. And thank God Leonard Nimoy was there to save the day.
You didn't do anything.
Didn't I?
And even after it was shut down, it still caused chaos years after when it was accidentally reactivated and it smashed through the town skywalk and actually killed someone. And if looking out for runaway monorails isn't stressful enough, you also have to worry about rolling balls of people crushing you, also massive unstoppable trees, and even rampaging elephants. And even if you avoided all those dangers, you'd still have to contend with the local evil billionaire who's blocking out the sun and shrouding the town in darkness. Or other crazy things, like a plague of caterpillars taking over and keeping you stuck inside for months on end. But living in Springfield can't be all bad, because it does have its pros. Like, come on, it's got the cracker factory and, the box factory. Yeah. Plus, they have breathtaking mountains, forests, deserts, a gorge, and even an ocean. But the downside of living so close to the sea is that if some madman might decide to blow up the dam, it might flood the entire town. And you'll never actually want to swim in it because drunk sailors usually crash and spill oil into the water. Springfield is also home to an active volcano that is ready to erupt at a moment's notice. And the weather is extremely harsh and unpredictable too, because we're talking hurricanes, earthquakes, tornadoes. I mean, this town gets hit with every natural disaster possible. But even if the severe weather, volcanoes, floods, monorails, meltdowns and pollution doesn't kill you, then the mythical creatures might. Yep, Springfield is a hotspot for the strange and unusual, and I'm not just talking about its eclectic townsfolk. The town is home to blood-sucking vampires, murderous horse jockey elves, and underground mole people, as well as leprechauns and even some dragons. And I'm not even talking about the treehouse of horror creatures either. Every monster I mentioned here has popped up in actual canon episodes, which makes Springfield even more terrifying. But it's not just the monsters you need to look out for, it's the people too. Springfield has a seriously dark criminal underbelly, and over the years the town has had no less than 8 prisons. No, wait, it's actually 9, because crime got so bad at one point that they even had to turn the school into a prison.
It's all right, children. Just ignore the murderer.
Springfield is constantly dealing with armed robberies and violent
Just
criminals.
ignore him.
Could this town be any stupider?
And don't expect the corrupt and incompetent police to help you.
Oh, for gosh, can't you people solve these problems yourselves? I mean, we can't be, policing the whole city.
There are also numerous mafia families floating about, and they aren't afraid to make you sleep with the fishes if you cross them. And if you somehow avoid the mobsters and the criminals, you still have to deal with the ordinary citizens.
Let's tear this place apart! Good idea!
There's something about Springfield that attracts the most hostile people imaginable. Seriously, a violent mob forms every single week over the dumbest reasons possible. Like when a Jimmy Carter statue was unveiled and the town instantly erupted into chaos. And when people got angry over science of all things, they started torching museums and Christian Science reading rooms.
I'm paralyzed. I just hope medical science can cure me.
So if you somehow find yourself transported to this horrible, horrible town, I recommend immediately getting out of Springfield and moving to Shelbyville instead. So tell me, if you arrived into Springfield, what would be the first thing you would do there? And what do you think would be the worst thing about living here? Let me know in the comments below.
Well, hopefully this one don't get banned. Them Springfield videos got me out of there last week. Every freaking one of them.
This is Franklin Saint, and if you've indulged in the series Snowfall, I think you'll agree with me that Franklin has one of those dark character arcs that become amusing to us as viewers. A story of a regular kid getting a taste of excessive money and power through the drug game, which transforms his characteristics negatively in order to increase his wealth. Snowfall is a great series because it doesn't just show us the life of Franklin Saint, it makes us feel it. After watching it, we feel like we know what it's like to be a drug dealer, to make a lot of money, and to make hard choices. But my focus in this documentary is on the psychological aspect of Franklin's character, the problems he actually has from a scientific standpoint, and what there is to learn from the consequences of his actions. So allow me to take you through his story so far while I break down the psychological components that turned him from an innocent kid on the block to an evil drug lord, and answer the question, is Franklin Saint a psychopath?
Oh yeah, let me remind myself to get this started real quick because I forgot to do this earlier apparently. Y'all already know we got stuff going on Rumble. Shout out to the Rumble. If y'all ain't linked up with the Rumble, it's the studio quality is over there. So if you actually want to see me on screen versus just hearing the magical voice in the background, that's where you actually see that copy of my video, because as y'all see down here, I am recording the Rumble video at the same point in time. But let me go ahead and start earlier's video for Rumble. We got 7-Eleven, so it might actually be uploaded because they're probably what happened to Popcorn. He ain't hit us with nothing all day. We know he been going live in the evenings on Saturday versus in the morning, so they know not to look for me at 8 a.m. anymore. Well, they know to look for me at 8, but hell, I ain't doing nothing at the moment. What was today's video? Today was just a higher nooner. Side note, 26. Always rep the team. C. Entertainment. It's a good category to be in. It's either information or entertainment, right? That. Submit. And now back to our regularly scheduled program.
rigged. It ain't made for people like us, so you know what? I'm rewriting the rules.
Franklin Saint gets introduced in 1983 as a 19-year-old black kid living in South Central LA. The traits he seems to possess are being ambitious and intelligent, someone with extreme potential. He graduates high school and gives university an attempt, but ends up dropping out. The initial problem that arises for Franklin is that he's misguided. Being a black working class man in this period, Franklin struggled to find purpose outside his neighborhood. Amongst his people, the narrative suggests that going down the educational route just equals an uphill battle against the white middle class when looking for good jobs and careers, which deters most from trying, resorting to either being an athlete or being on the streets. Franklin knows internally he's destined for greatness, but just feels like society isn't in his favor. He initially starts working in a grocery store while also selling cannabis for his uncle Jerome, making okay money, but not to the extent that really satisfies him. However, one day, his white friend Rob tells him where he gets his coke from, a man named Avi. Franklin, being the ambitious kid he is, sees a potential opportunity to make more money, due to the substance being a much higher price than what he's used to. So he approaches Avi and proposes that he's given a chance to impress.
Okay, front me a key. Turn it around quick. How you planning on doing that? I know people in my neighborhood. They don't even know what cocaine is in your neighborhood, let alone have the money to afford it. Our people do. It could mean a whole new client base for you.
In Franklin's mind, if he doesn't get rich somehow, he'll be stuck forever. So his determination at this point was incredibly high to do whatever it takes. Selling pure coke in Franklin's neighborhood wouldn't work well because poorer people can't afford it. And not long into his journey, he was beaten up and robbed for stealing a high-value customer from two other sellers. But not deterred, he tries to branch out to different areas. And whilst in Oakland with his two boys, Leon and Kevin, Franklin finds out about crack cocaine, which they call rock, a more dangerous drug due to its potency and cheap price. But in Franklin's business mind, all he could see was dollar signs. So he learns how to cook up rock and brings it back to LA, where notoriety is being gained and respect is important. He engages in violence and killing for the first time in his life, and appears uncomfortable, showing his lack of experience in the game. But now he's got his product, and he's got his
Only
customers
hope
in
is
his
prayer.
neighborhood.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming by, saying hi. I'm gonna go check out Sis's content. She's a great supporter and a regular poster. Y'all know to go over there and get active.
Franklin comes into contact with is Teddy McDonald. Teddy is going to be an important character in this video as he displays the balance between Franklin and higher powers. When meeting Franklin, Teddy is a CIA agent whose aim it is to supply drugs into the USA and use the profits to fund a war against communism in another country. When he meets Franklin, he introduces him under a fake alias, Reed Thompson, and offers to become his coke supplier, which Franklin takes and then gets his people to turn into rock and distribute at a cheap price around the neighborhood. This is Franklin's first major issue. Of course, Franklin is desperate to reach financial success, but his plan now becomes to do it at the expense of his own people. The product Franklin is selling is highly addictive and ruins the lives of people who get hooked on it. But to him, that's just a cost of doing business. The fact he's willing to sacrifice other people's livelihood for his own financial gain is the first sign of narcissism in Franklin, which is extreme self-importance. But I feel it develops more as the story goes on, so we'll dive deeper into that soon. Franklin ensured the people recruited into his business to cook up the rock were close. His uncle Jerome, his aunt Louie, his two best friends Leon and Kevin, and his other friend Rob. This was to maintain trust within the business. The rest of the sellers at a lower level were kids recruited trying to make a bit of extra money. One of them was Kevin's cousin Delroy, who ended up being murdered by a Mexican hitman for dealing on their territory. After finding out, Kevin became unhinged. However, Franklin understood that the Mexican was well connected to gangs and retaliation would lead to a war, and made a logical decision to not retaliate. Kevin, being more emotional, didn't accept this and tried to end matters himself. He gave away the recipe for rock to Mexicans in exchange for the location of the hitman, but as he went to fire the fatal shot, Franklin, in an attempt to stop him, shot Kevin in the leg, and he passed away due to blood loss. Being in the game has led to Franklin killing his best friend, ruining his relationship with his mother, and now he's considering leaving it. Coupled with that, he gets arrested and thrown in jail, where he's brutally beaten up. At his deepest depths, almost given up, his best friend Leon gives him a speech to give him some hope.
I want you to listen to me. I've been where you at. I just gotta keep fighting, you hear me? Yeah, man, of course.
Due to Franklin's connection with Teddy, he gets off the murder charge and free from prison. And Franklin connects the dots and realizes who Teddy is, a CIA agent. But already deep in, decides to continue with the game and carry on his business. Going
So
through the
how
depths
to
and
plug the
shadows that he's not
CIA,
been through,
man? God
we
damn
now
it,
have a
Bobby.
darker, more heartless Franklin Saint with only one goal on his mind. Franklin knows that if he wants to make more money, he needs to increase his customer base. He also needs to be a more ruthless leader. Bigger business typically means more problems, and that doesn't change for Franklin. His first issue is Andre Wright, a police officer who also happened to be Franklin's neighbor and the father to Franklin's ex-girlfriend Melody. Yeah, tricky situation. Franklin then acquires a place in the hills to stash his cash and important documents, but Andre and the police were hot on his tail, which was an issue Franklin had to be wary of. The second issue was that Franklin's repercussions of drug dealing were getting closer to home. Wanda, Leon's girlfriend, got addicted to rock, resulting in their relationship being forced to end, and now Melody is also an addict. Franklin's ruthlessness prevailed after he got Leon to execute a member of his crew for bringing attention to the cookhouse before police raided it. And due to Andre being too much of a threat to Franklin's business, Franklin also takes his life. Bringing back the idea of narcissism, Franklin shows signs of having malignant narcissism. This is someone who fantasizes about power and has a tendency to lash out if someone goes against their policies or plans, and they don't mind taking advantage of others to get what they want. These are traits that Franklin is starting to display, and these traits are signifying that Franklin is turning into a psychopath. Added with his lack of empathy and desensitization to killing, the assumption is turning more into a reality. Research suggests that these antics could be related to Franklin running a business.
There was a book a couple of years ago exploring how many CEOs might have psychopathic traits. Perhaps there's something about power. Perhaps in order to get to that level, you have to not care about other people. You have to demand a certain level of treatment and respect, and that's what narcissists do.
Whilst doing my own research, I found that 4 to 12% of CEOs display psychopathic tendencies, suggesting a correlation between Franklin's career choice and his psychology. But Melody managed to connect the dots between father's death and Franklin's movements that night, and as retaliation, shoots Franklin 3 times, leaving him for dead. Franklin managed to survive, and despite having enough money to call it quits on the game after realizing the damage he's done and the problems that have come as a result, he feels he has a sense of duty to restore peace in his neighborhood after gang wars broke out whilst he was wounded. Scully and Manboy were the leaders of the Blood and Crip gangs and had gone to war over territories to sell their product. Franklin saw both of them as a threat to the business and had long-term plans to take both of them out, but kept them both close and acted as if they were civil partners. This manipulation of fake relationship for ulterior motives is another indication of psychopathic tendencies within Franklin. At first, he sides with Manboy to try and kill Scully, which fails. Then Leon accidentally kills Scully's daughter, which also happens to be Manboy's niece. Now both of them put their issues aside and go to war against Franklin, along with Khadija, Scully's baby mother and Manboy's sister, who's put a bounty on Leon's head. They give Franklin an ultimatum to either give up Leon and continue business as usual, or protect Leon and go to war. Franklin held all of his psychopathic tendencies, and it wouldn't be a surprise for him to give up his friend for the sake of the business. But one of Franklin's key traits is being loyal to those who have been there from the start. In the war, Franklin displays his superior intelligence that I mentioned at the start, and manages to overcome Khadija and Manboy, and Scully retires from the war, leaving Franklin with no more enemies. However, another problem arises closer to home. His father, Alton, a figure that only recently came back into Franklin's life, fears for Franklin's safety due to him working with the CIA agent Teddy, a reporter, and puts Teddy's career and therefore Franklin's business in jeopardy, causing friction between them. Like I said when I first introduced Teddy to the story, he's the only one who has power superiority to Franklin, and Franklin finds it a struggle to make things on his terms, and he's so used to having control of the people he works with. But Franklin overcomes this imbalance and stops Teddy from retaliating, and lets his mom and dad flee the country to Cuba. However, Teddy loses his job after getting exposed, and tracks Alton down and ends his life too, unbeknownst to Franklin, and now Franklin can focus on a much brighter future for the business. Time goes by, and Franklin finds a girlfriend, Veronique, who is pregnant with his child. In an attempt to increase his wealth legally, he now runs a major real estate firm and develops legit connections. However, he was still a drug kingpin. Franklin being in this relationship with Veronique and a child on the way motivates him to leave the game, but there's still loose ends that need tying. For one, Franklin has been given a replacement CIA officer, Brady, who was a lot more easygoing than Teddy, but wasn't performing to the expectations of the CIA. So Teddy returned, and despite Franklin being almost certain that he'd killed his father, proceeds to work with him as he feels he has no choice. Louis and Jerome, probably Franklin's most valuable partners in the business, now want to break away and run things separately. This would make business a lot worse for Franklin, and therefore he tries to stop them.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but everybody's got to answer to somebody. And me, I answer to the man who may have disappeared my father, and who will do the same to us if we don't move this product. Now, I don't know about y'all two, but I'd like to stay alive long enough to enjoy what I've made. So from here on out, I don't want to hear anything else about kilos or prices. Y'all want to go out on your own? Fine, but do not for 1 second around with what I gotta do to get mine, because I promise you, there is nothing I'm not prepared to do.
Leon also no longer wants to be part of Franklin's enterprise and wants to help his people in the projects. The thing with Franklin is that he believes because he's more logical and intelligent than everyone else, it's okay to minimize the thoughts and opinions of other people and make choices for them. And for years now, he's had that control because he had the cash, and cash is king. Money is power. But now, things are starting to crack. Franklin feels uncomfortable and feels like he must go to extreme lengths to protect the business. So when he finds out that his longtime friend Rob was also addicted to the product and accidentally spilled out some information about the business, Franklin heartlessly takes his life too. Franklin had been running around with his bodyguard, Peaches, ever since he started making big money. And the whole time, Peaches had been extremely loyal to Franklin, to the point where Franklin even showed him where some of his money was stashed. However, he was unaware that Peaches had also become addicted to rock, and in a planned event, $5 million of his money was stolen, and Franklin and his family were shot at, all organized by Peaches, who had now fled. This all hits Franklin hard.
Yeah, Peaches got him for that.
But at the wedding, Scully dosed the chocolate with acid, making Franklin hallucinate and conversate with the old version of himself, which gives him the ideal introspection that he needed.
You know, you fear. Let the worst thing Dad did come true for you. For us, that's bullshit. He never cared about anybody but himself. He said he was working for the people, but as soon as somebody crossed him, what'd he do? He threw them right under the bus. And here you are talking about the white man's ass when everybody gotta kiss your ass, or else. I help people. Help people. My God, you listen to yourself. Damn.
Franklin now realizes
he said,
everything.
"Do you listen to yourself?"
Lives ruined or lost, and he believed helping some people get rich at the expense of this justifies it, and this realization of this justification was enough for him to change. All his psychopathic traits start to fade at this point. He starts to feel empathy, starts to consider other people's choices more, and becomes less self-centered. But to hit Franklin hard while he's getting up, Louis went directly to Teddy to buy instead of Franklin, just to get more profit, detrimentally affecting Franklin's business. Franklin contemplates and takes a step back to look at life. He sees the money he has, his future wife, an unborn child, and all of this leads to Franklin deciding he's done with the game. He confronts Teddy and tells him that he's got a family that he needs to prioritize. Franklin's Sane had come full circle and became the man he needed to be, an empathetic soul finally. And yes, damage had been done, but at least he's changed for the better. But nothing could have prepared Franklin for what came next. Feeling betrayed by everyone, Franklin receives the biggest possible blow by Teddy as he empties Franklin's bank account, stealing $73 million in the process, leaving Franklin not just broke, but Franklin tries to ask Lou for help, but she says it's not her issue, despite her being the reason that he's in this mess in the first place. Franklin now craves revenge against Louis, Jerome, and most importantly, Teddy. And how he deals with his vengeance is the story for the next video.
I like how he tried to lure you in with that, boy. Shout out to Snowfall. I was watching season's review by Shout out Symphonit. He got like 5 different new YouTube channels. Go check them all out.
The Barksdale organization spends much of their time trying to kill Omar,
They torture and murder his boyfriend, place a reward on his head, and blame him for nearly every problem they cannot solve. Omar understands that he is being hunted because he chose to rob drug dealers. He accepts that risk. Yet when two Barksdale soldiers attack him while he is taking his grandmother to church, Omar reacts differently. They have broken a rule that is older than their personal war. Nobody conducts street business on Sunday morning. It sounds like a small rule inside a world where people are robbed, beaten, and murdered regularly. Its importance becomes clear once it is broken. The Sunday truce gives the street a boundary. It allows people involved in the game to step outside it for a few hours, attend church, visit their families, and move through the neighborhood without bringing every conflict with them. When Gerard and Sapper open fire, they damage something larger than Omar's grandmother's hat. They show that one of the few limits still respected in West Baltimore can disappear as soon as the wrong people are given permission to ignore it. The attack happens because Gerard and Sapper spot Omar leaving his grandmother's house. Omar is helping her into a taxi so they can attend church. Gerard knows that attacking him would violate the city rules, which is why he tries to contact Slim Charles before doing anything. Slim does not answer, so the request eventually reaches Shamrock, who asks Stringer for a decision. Stringer gives them permission to proceed without understanding the situation properly. That chain matters. Gerard and Sapper know the rule. They do not accidentally stumble into a tradition they have never heard about. Their hesitation proves that they understand exactly what Sunday morning means. They continue because killing Omar carries money, status, and approval from the organization. The rule survives in their minds, yet it is no longer strong enough to control their behavior. The shooting itself is chaotic. Omar pushes his grandmother into the taxi while bullets hit the surrounding area. They escape without being physically injured, although her church hat falls into the street and is destroyed under the taxi. Omar is furious and embarrassed. His grandmother does not understand the full reason for the attack, so he gives her a weak explanation about the shooting being connected to drugs. She may not know everything Omar does, but she knows enough to recognize that he brought danger to her door. Omar has been shot at many times. He has been wounded, ambushed, and forced to jump from a balcony several floors above the ground. Those attacks are part of the life he chose. This one reaches into a part of his life that he believed was protected. His grandmother has no connection to his robberies. She is an elderly woman wearing her best clothes for church, and Omar cannot defend what happened without admitting that his reputation has followed him into her life. The embarrassment is almost as important as the danger. Omar takes pride in understanding the rules of the street better than the people he robs. He enters their territory, announces himself, and takes their money because he knows how they operate. He believes his code separates him from people who will harm anyone for an advantage. The attack forces him to confront the fact that the code cannot protect the people around him when his enemies stop respecting the same limits. That is the basic purpose of the Sunday truce. It protects a small area of ordinary life from the game. Sunday morning belongs to church, family, older residents, and people who still want to wear their best clothes without checking whether someone nearby has a shotgun. The truce does not end the drug trade. It gives the community a few hours in which the drug trade is expected to control itself. Baltimore's police cannot create that peace. The city government cannot create it either. They struggle to reduce violence even with laws, prisons, surveillance, and an enormous amount of public money. The Sunday truce survives through reputation and shared acceptance. There is no written agreement and no judge waiting to punish anyone who breaks it. People follow the rule because everyone understands that some places and times should remain outside the conflict. That makes the truce more than an act of kindness. It is part of the street's own system of government. The organizations in the wire operate without legal contracts, formal courts, or reliable protection from the police. When someone steals money, refuses to pay a debt, or enters another crew's territory, the people involved cannot file a complaint and wait for a hearing. Their system depends on rules enforced through reputation. Some of those rules are violent, but they still create expectations. People know how debts are collected, territory is defended, and what usually happens when someone cooperates with the police. The Sunday truce creates a different kind of expectation. It tells everyone that the conflict has a temporary limit. A dealer may return to his corner later that day. A robber may continue robbing once church is over. For a few hours, everyone agrees to leave those identities alone. The rule works only when it carries more shame than advantage. Gerard and Sapper see an opportunity to kill Omar and decide that the reward matters more than the tradition. Their decision exposes how fragile the entire arrangement has become. A code without people willing to follow it is only an old story, and Baltimore is filling up with younger soldiers who did not live through the period that gave those stories their authority. Slim Charles understands the damage immediately. When he confronts Gerard and Sapper, he does not begin by discussing their poor aim or the missed opportunity to kill Omar. He focuses on the Sunday morning truce and the ruined church hat. He is standing there holding what he calls the torn-up crown of a genuine colored lady. For Slim, the hat represents the part of the neighborhood that should have remained protected. His anger also reveals the difference between knowing the rules and understanding why they exist. Gerard and Sapper know Sunday morning is restricted. Slim understands that the restrictions affect the organization as well as the community. The Barksdales depend on fear, although fear alone cannot maintain their power. They also need people to believe that Avon controls his soldiers. Shop owners, residents, politicians, drug dealers, and rival organizations make decisions based on the reputation attached to his name. If Avon gives his word, people need to believe the people beneath him will respect it. Once undisciplined soldiers begin shooting near churches, every agreement becomes less valuable. Slim tells Gerard and Sapper that they are damaging Avon's reputation because that is exactly what happened. The attack makes the organization appear reckless. They break a respected rule, endanger an elderly woman, and fail to kill their actual target. They receive all of the shame and none of the practical benefit, which is an impressive amount of damage for a few minutes of work. Avon's reaction confirms how seriously the old leadership views the violation. He is furious when he learns what happened. He says the Sunday truce has existed for as long as the game itself. Avon has ordered murders and controlled an organization that poisons neighborhoods through drug trade, yet this particular act genuinely offends him. That reaction may look hypocritical, and to some extent it is. Avon is willing to have people killed when it protects his territory. He does not become a good person because he respects church hours. The rule still matters because it shows that Avon sees the street as a community with limits rather than an empty space where power gives permission to do anything. Avon grew up inside the game. His family name, boxing history, neighborhood relationships, and criminal authority are connected to West Baltimore. He wants to rule the streets, but he still sees himself as belonging to them. The Sunday truce protects people he recognizes as part of the same community. An elderly church-going woman has a position in that world, even if she has no power inside the drug trade. That is why Avon orders Gerard and Sapper to replace the hat. He cannot undo the shooting, and a new hat does not remove the fear Omar's grandmother experienced. The gesture is an attempt to recognize the offense and restore the boundary they crossed. Avon is effectively admitting that his organization owes something to a person outside the game. There is something almost ridiculous about two armed drug soldiers being ordered to shop for a church hat. The humor works because Avon is completely serious. The replacement is a punishment, an apology, and a reminder that their actions created a debt to someone they should never have involved. Stringer's part in the attack shows a different problem. He gives permission without knowing that Omar is with his grandmother or heading to church. When Avon confronts him, Stringer explains that he did not have the full information. That explanation may reduce his personal cruelty, but it does not make his decision responsible. Stringer approves the attack while sitting in a co-op meeting built around reducing unnecessary violence. Proposition Joe and the other dealers are complaining about Avon's war with Marlowe because bodies attract police attention and interrupt business. Stringer wants the drug trade to behave more like an organized market. He believes cooperation, stable territory, and shared access to good product will produce more money than constant fighting. At almost the same time, he gives a careless order that violates one of the street's oldest agreements. The contradiction tells us something important about Stringer. He understands systems when they can be explained through profit and structure. The Sunday truce is harder for him because its value cannot be measured through a simple calculation. It survives through culture, memory, and respect. Stringer wants to modernize the game, but he often misunderstands the human relationships holding it together. He believes Avon's attachment to reputation and territory is outdated. Avon believes Stringer's business language ignores the reality of the street. The attack on Omar does not settle their entire argument, but it gives Avon a strong piece of evidence. Stringer has spent the day telling other drug dealers that he can reduce violence while his own approval sends bullets toward an elderly woman outside a church. The mistake also comes from the system Stringer has created. Orders move through layers. Gerard calls Slim. Slim is unavailable. The request reaches Shamrock. Shamrock passes a shortened version to Stringer. Stringer gives a quick answer without stopping to ask why Gerard felt the need to seek special permission in the first place. Stringer wants distance between leadership and street activity because that distance protects him from the police. The same distance also removes context. The person making the decision cannot see the grandmother, the taxi, the church clothes, or the hesitation of the soldiers. Omar becomes a target described through a telephone call, and the decision becomes easy. This is one of the central problems running through The Wire. Institutions create layers to make themselves more efficient and protect the people at the top. Information becomes weaker as it travels upward, while orders become less connected to their consequences as they travel back down. Police commanders demand lower crime numbers without seeing how those numbers are produced. Politicians promise reforms without spending much time in the neighborhoods affected by them. School administrators demand higher test scores, while students receive less actual education. Stringer approves a killing without knowing who is standing beside the target. Each leader can claim they never requested the exact disaster that followed. They still created the structure that made the disaster likely. Gerard and Sapper remain responsible because they are the people who pull the triggers. Stringer remains responsible because he gives them permission without asking enough questions. Avon remains connected because these men act under his name. The scene refuses to let responsibility sit comfortably with one person. The result reaches further than the damaged hat because Omar's response changes the conflict. Before the shooting, Omar has already been affected by the death of Tasha during a robbery, and by Bunk's criticism of what the street has become. Bunk tells him that children in the neighborhood are pretending to be Omar while surrounded by the bodies produced by the same culture. Omar is forced to see that his reputation has consequences beyond the dealers he targets. He even helps Bunk recover a police officer's stolen gun, partly because Bunk's words reached him. Omar is still a robber, but he appears to be reconsidering how far his conflict should go and what it is doing to the people around him. The Sunday attack pulls him back toward the Barksdales. Omar tells Kimmy and Dante that he intends to continue the war alone. Kimmy refuses to return with him, which makes sense after Tasha's death and the attack on his grandmother. She sees that the conflict is becoming more personal and less controllable. Omar accepts her decision and continues anyway. The attack gives him a fresh reason to pursue the organization. His earlier war with the Barksdales began with Brandon's torture and murder. Now they have endangered another person he loves. The message Omar receives is simple. Leaving the fight alone will not keep his family outside it. That decision eventually places Omar back on the path toward Stringer. Brother Mazzone later returns to Baltimore after learning that Stringer arranged the earlier deception that caused Omar to shoot him. Omar and Brother Mazzone discover that Stringer manipulated both of them, and they join together to kill him. The Sunday attack is not the sole cause of Stringer's death. Stringer had already created that outcome when he lied to Omar about Brother Mazzone and betrayed Avon's relationship with New York. Avon later gives Brother Mazzone enough information to find Stringer because refusing would cost Avon his reputation and his connections. Still, the attack keeps Omar personally committed to the Barksdale War at a time when he had reasons to step back. Stringer's casual approval helps preserve the enemy who will later stand in front of him with a shotgun. It is a small decision whose consequence returns through a much larger chain. That is one way the moment changes Baltimore. It contributes to the conflict that removes Stringer, weakens Avon, and leaves the Barksdale organization unable to survive. Stringer's death destroys the partnership that held the organization together. Avon has the street authority, family name, and willingness to fight. Stringer controls the money, political connections, and supply relationships. Their partnership is already breaking apart before the Sunday attack, but the incident makes their differences easier to see. Avon treats the broken truce as a serious violation of who they are. Stringer treats it as an operational mistake caused by missing information. Avon worries about what the Barksdale name means in the neighborhood. Stringer worries about keeping business moving. Both concerns matter, yet neither man can combine them anymore. Avon is later arrested with weapons and soldiers while preparing another attack in the war against Marlowe. Stringer's information helps the police find him, while Avon's information helps Omar and Brother Malzone find Stringer. Each man destroys the other while trying to protect the part of the organization he values most. Once they are gone, Marlowe is left with more space to expand. Marlowe represents the future already hiding inside the Sunday attack. Gerard and Sapper are still members of an organization that claims to follow rules, but their actions resemble the world Marlowe will create. They see an enemy and act. Tradition becomes an obstacle. Civilians become acceptable risks. Reputation comes from showing that nobody can restrict them. Marlowe does have rules, although they are almost entirely centered on his authority. A security guard politely challenges him after Marlowe steals from a shop, and Marlowe has the man killed because allowing the challenge to stand would injure his name. Junebug speaks badly about Marlowe, so Marlowe orders an attack on his home that also kills members of his family. Bodies are hidden in vacant houses because concealment is more useful than restraint. Avon wants people to fear what happens when they violate the rules of the game. Marlowe wants people to fear him specifically. That difference changes the type of violence Baltimore experiences. The Sunday truce depends on everyone accepting that certain traditions are larger than any individual player. Marlowe cannot comfortably accept that idea because his entire identity is built around his name being the final authority. If an old rule prevents him from demonstrating power, the rule is unlikely to survive. Gerard and Sapper are not as intelligent or disciplined as Marlowe. Their attack still shows the same direction. They know the old boundary and cross it because the immediate reward feels more important. Once enough people think that way, no leader can preserve the rule through tradition alone. Avon can force them to purchase a new hat, but he cannot make them understand why the hat mattered. Slim Charles tries. He explains the age of the woman, the meaning of Sunday morning, and the damage to Avon's reputation. His anger comes from realizing that these soldiers had to be taught something that earlier generations treated as obvious. Slim is one of the few characters who survives long enough to witness the entire transition. He works for Avon, remains connected to Proposition Joe, and eventually kills Cheese after Cheese admits betraying his uncle. Slim still believes that actions create responsibilities beyond immediate profit. By the end, that belief makes him feel like a surviving piece of an older Baltimore. The show does not present the organization as noble. Proposition Joe arranges betrayals, Avon orders murders, and Slim kills people professionally. Their code never protects everyone. It mostly protects certain relationships, locations, and customs that allow the game to continue with some stability. That limited protection is still noticeable once it disappears. The Wire repeatedly shows that imperfect rules can prevent worse outcomes. The Sunday Truce does not solve the drug trade. The co-op does not stop drug sales. Bunny Colvin's free zones do not remove addiction. Each arrangement attempts to reduce a specific kind of damage inside a problem nobody has been able to solve. These agreements are easy to criticize because they accept the continued existence of crime. The alternative offered by the show is rarely clean enforcement. It is usually disorder, more bodies, and new leaders who are less restrained than the people they replace. That is also why the attack matters to ordinary Baltimore residents. The game exists inside their neighborhoods, whether they participate in it or not. They hear the gunshots, avoid certain corners, lose relatives, and watch organizations fight over streets they still need to use. The Sunday Truce gives them a temporary claim over their own community. When bullets follow Omar to church, that claim disappears. His grandmother becomes involved because she happens to stand beside someone the Barksdales want dead. Her age, innocence, and destination provide no protection once the order is given. The ruined crown captures that loss better than a long explanation could. It is a personal object connected to church, dignity, and an older generation of Baltimore residents. Slim holds it in front of Gerard and Sapper as physical evidence of what they failed to understand. They went looking for a famous stick-up man and returned having attacked someone's grandmother. The humor of the scene makes the criticism sharper. Slim sounds almost offended that he has to explain what a respectable older woman is. He asks whether their mothers raised them properly because he sees the problem as larger than criminal discipline. They have failed a basic social test. That failure appears throughout the younger generation in The Wire. Many children grow up learning the rules of the drug trade before they understand the institutions supposedly designed to protect them. Corner boys know how to identify police surveillance, package drugs, and follow a chain of command. Their education is practical, immediate, and often brutal. Yet even that street education is becoming thinner. The new generation learns how to defend territory and punish disrespect without learning the older limits surrounding those actions. They inherit the violence faster than they inherit the restraint. Gerard and Sapper are old enough to have heard about the Sunday Truce, but young enough to treat it as a technical restriction they might receive permission to ignore. The rule has lost its moral force before it loses its name. The Barksdale organization's response cannot fully repair that. Avon condemns the shooting and orders the hat replaced, but the rumors are already moving through the street. People now know that Barksdale soldiers fired on a Sunday morning. More importantly, Omar knows the organization allowed it. Reputation is difficult to repair because it exists in other people's minds. Avon can punish the soldiers privately, but he cannot control how the incident is repeated. Each retelling makes the Barksdales appear less disciplined and makes their leadership look less reliable. This comes at the worst possible time. Avon is fighting Marlowe for territory. Stringer is trying to keep the co-op together. The organization needs its soldiers to appear organized and its leadership to appear united. Instead, Gerard and Sapper advertise confusion. They cannot reach Slim, receive incomplete permission through Stringer, violate a major rule, miss Omar, and return with an elderly woman's ruined hat. The scene is funny because their failure is so complete. It is important because the failure reflects the organization above them. Avon and Stringer no longer agree on what the Barksdale organization should be. Their soldiers receive orders through a confused chain. The co-op doubts Avon's judgment. Marlowe senses weakness. Omar has received another personal reason to attack them. The broken Sunday truce brings all of those problems into one event. That is the fairest way to understand the title, How One Moment Changed Baltimore. The shooting does not single-handedly destroy the Barksdales or create Marlowe. Baltimore's transformation is already happening through the drug war, weakened institutions, changing leadership, and a younger generation raised around constant violence. The Sunday attack gives that transformation a visible moment. Before the shooting, the old rules still appear capable of surviving alongside the new drug trade. After it, Avon can replace the hat, punish the soldiers, and repeat the rule, but he cannot restore the certainty that protected Sunday morning. The audience has seen how easily the boundary can be crossed. The incident also changes Omar's direction. His guilt and exhaustion had given him reasons to reconsider the war. The attack brings his family into it and sends him back after the Barksdales. That path eventually helps lead him to Stringer, whose death removes one half of the organization's leadership. Stringer's approval also exposes the weakness in his vision. He wants a calmer and more profitable drug trade, but his distance from the street produces a reckless decision during the very meeting where he is discussing peace. His business model cannot work when the people carrying out his orders lack discipline and the person giving those orders lacks context. Avon understands the cultural damage, yet his answer is too small for the change taking place. A replacement hat can acknowledge the offense. It cannot stop Marlowe, rebuild the Barksdale organization, or teach an entire generation why older limits existed. My view is that the Sunday attack marks the moment when Baltimore's street code stops functioning as a shared source of authority and becomes a memory enforced by a shrinking number of older players. The code continues to exist after the shooting. Slim still believes in it. Omar still expects it. Gerard and Sapper have shown that expectation is no longer enough. The Barksdales break the truce while trying to kill one enemy. In doing so, they weaken their reputation, renew Omar's war against them, expose the divide between Avon and Stringer, and offer an early look at the less restrained Baltimore that Marlowe will soon control. The most revealing part is that nobody gains anything. Omar survives. His grandmother survives. The Barksdales receive no strategic advantage. All they produce is fear, anger, humiliation, and a debt. Avon tries to settle with a new hat. That useless damage is what Baltimore is becoming. Violence continues after it stops serving a clear purpose. Rules remain known after they stop being respected. The people in charge apologize for consequences created by systems they can no longer control. For a few seconds on a Sunday morning, Omar's grandmother is pushed into a taxi while bullets follow her toward church. The old Baltimore still exists in everyone's shock afterward. The new Baltimore exists in the fact that the shooting happened at all.
Season 3, Episode 5 is titled Mas, meaning more in Spanish. And also completing this...
Nope, we is not doing that video. Not today, he said. Not today. Yeah, sorry about Mr. Postman. Let's see. Where'd the playlist go? Because I had... my exit video was supposed to be in the playlist. It's not bring. Of course, it doesn't want to bring up the playlist.
How One Moment Changed Baltimore.
Nah. We already done watched that video.
The
We already watched that video. Let's go back to the playlist. Why did you not bring up the playlist? Oh, Lord. See, it's just acting all the way hard-headed. Let's see. No, we don't want theater mode. Why is it doing all of that versus showing me my playlist where it was? Love how my computer updated apparently, and I didn't notice that because now it's changed things around. But it could be worse. It could be worse because, let's see. I mean, I'm going to get this to do what I told it to do. But first, 10 times I didn't click this. It said view playlist. I didn't want to see the video. Yes, show me the playlist. Show me the money. Because, you know, we got to get straight to the big homie. Got to go check out the non-copyrighted musical selections of the big homie over at DJ Is on YouTube or any musical platform at DJ Is. You dig?
Remember me when you're far away. I'll always have a place for you to stay. In the garden, by the door, in the bedroom, on the floor. Remember me when you're far away. I'll always have a place for you to stay. In the middle of the night, I'm gonna be there till the morning light.
And of course, y'all know to go check out the homie DJ Taylor Renee. She'll probably be live sometime tonight, doing her thing with the music. Appreciate that. If not, you know, catch up with Beat After Beat. He'll probably be in here in a minute like, oh, I just missed this. I know, it sucks. As soon as you was trying to come in, I was leaving. Hey, shout out to the Festival of Lights